Most people think building a $100,000 a month automation agency is about getting more clients, but that's the easy part. It's what happens after you land them that decides whether you scale or collapse. And I know this because I wasted years chasing the wrong goals, scaling broken processes, and nearly burning my agency to the ground. But once I've fixed those mistakes, it scaled fast, all the way to over $100,000 a month. But there's a reason why most never get there. It's not because they can't sell, it's because they ignore the cracks forming underneath. So in this video, I'm breaking down the 5 hard lessons that took my agency to and past $100,000 a month, and show you how you can use them to grow without burning out or breaking your business. We'll move from profit structure to client retention to scaling at the right time. So by the end, you'll know exactly how to avoid the mistakes that kill most agencies before they ever hit their peak. And if you want to go deeper, see the exact SOPs and automations I use to run my agency and build alongside other founders doing the same, you can join my school community. I'll leave the link in the description so you can check it out after watching this video. All right, let's get into the first hard lesson, the one that almost broke my agency before it even had a chance to grow. Profit engineering before revenue chasing. In other words, building your business to be profitable before you even think about scaling revenue. Most agencies start by asking, how can I make more money? When the real question should be, how much do I keep at the end of the month? So they hit 30,000, 50,000, even 80,000 a month in revenue, but they're locked into 3K a month worth of AI and automation tools that barely touch, paying a full-time developer to maintain workflows that aren't bringing in new revenue, and selling high complexity builds for prices that barely cover their costs. By the time the subscription and the salary is clear, there's almost nothing left to reinvest or pay themselves. If you ignore profit in the early stages, you're building a business that cracks under pressure. One slow month and you're watching the bank balance drain while tool subscriptions keep hitting your cart. Payroll is due in 2 weeks, so you take on low-paying, high-maintenance clients just to keep the lights on. And from that moment on, every decision you make is about plugging leaks instead of steering the business forward. When I started, I thought more revenue would fix everything. I scaled before I had a lean cost structure, stacking expensive AI tools, overbuilding workflows no one had paid for yet, and adding roles I didn't need. Every extra dollar disappeared into software and salaries, but the turning point was slashing the unused tools, shelving overcomplicated builds, and stripping my offers down to what clients were already buying. Once the margins were healthy, growth stopped feeling like a gamble. That shift taught me something I didn't expect. Chasing bigger numbers can actually make your agency weaker. A smaller, leaner agency at $40,000 a month with 50% margins is far more profitable and stable than one doing $80,000 a month at 15%. The first can reinvest, breathe, and choose who to work with. The second is trapped, working harder for less and always one bad month away from panic mode. Margins aren't just a finance metric. They're what give you the breathing room to grow without bending to bad clients or simply bad deals. Nail them early and you're free to choose clients that actually fit your business instead of taking whoever will sign just to keep the lights on. But profit alone isn't enough. If your clients don't stay, you're stuck replacing revenue every single month. And that's the second hard lesson. Client lifetime value matters more than client count. Lifetime value, or LTV, is the total revenue you earn from a client over the time you work with them. And in an automation agency, this is the real growth lever. Increase how long clients stick and how much they spend, and you can scale faster with fewer sales, less churn, and a far more stable business. Most automation agencies make the mistake of selling one-off projects, a big workflow build, a full setup, and then moving on to the next deal. The moment a project is delivered, the revenue stops, and that's when the treadmill starts, constantly hunting for the next sale just to replace last month's income. It's a business that looks busy on the outside but never compounds, because every month starts basically from zero. And here's why that's such a killer. New client revenue is a single spike, but LTV is a slope that keeps rising. When clients leave after a short project, you're not just losing that one payment, you're killing the compounding growth that makes agencies stable. A handful of clients paying you for years is infinitely easier and far more profitable than constantly replacing a roster of short-term wins. That's why in a real growth model, new clients aren't the finish line, they're just the starting point. The easiest way to increase LTV is to stop thinking like a project shop and start thinking like an embedded partner. Don't just hand over a finished automation, own an ongoing result. That could mean running their outbound, maintaining their lead systems, or continually improving their workflows as tools evolve. Because automation is never truly done. There's always another process to streamline, and agencies that package this as a monthly service turn one-off wins into predictable stacking revenue. And when every client sticks, not for weeks, but for months, your revenue compounds, your stress drops, and growth finally happens on your terms. But of course, there's the catch. The moment you start thinking it's time to scale, you're standing at the edge of a cliff. Move too fast and you can shatter the stability you just fought to build. Which brings me to the third hard lesson. Scaling before your systems can handle it will break your agency. In my eyes, it's the silent killer. You bring in more clients, but your delivery starts to slip, your margins shrink, and the very machine you built to give you freedom turns into a trap. In this part, I'll show you how to spot the exact point where you're truly ready to scale and what happens if you ignore it. The mistake most agencies make is trying to grow before they've productized their offer and systemized their delivery. Without a repeatable process, every new client is like starting the business from scratch. Custom builds, manual fixes, endless handholding. It feels like progress because the pipeline is full, but the workload scales faster than the profit. That flawed belief that more clients automatically means more money is what drives a lot of agencies into the wall. They pile on deals, hire fast to keep up, and hope revenue will outrun the chaos. But without SOPs, clear onboarding flows, and pre-built assets, every project becomes a bottleneck. The extra revenue gets eaten by overtime, refunds, inefficiency, and quality starts to slide. I've seen agencies double their client count only to halve their margins. Not because they couldn't sell, but because their delivery wasn't built to handle the load. And in an automation agency, especially, this hits hard. Complex workflows need monitoring, tools change overnight, and without airtight processes, your team is constantly reacting instead of executing. The fix to all of this is to make scaling boring. Productize your offer so every client gets 80% of the same proven system with the remaining 20% tailored to them. Build SOPs for every recurring task so you can hand off onboarding, implementation, and support without being in every conversation yourself. Because when delivery runs like a machine, new clients slot in without adding stress, and the extra revenue actually hits your bottom line. Once your delivery runs like a machine, scaling isn't a risk anymore, it's a choice. And every new client you add fuels growth instead of chaos. But there's one thing that can still sink you, keeping the wrong clients. That's the fourth hard lesson. Cutting clients that cost you more than they pay you. The wrong client isn't just someone who you don't enjoy working with. It's the one who slows your entire machine down. The type who drags your team into endless revisions, ignores your processes, and makes decisions that tank their own results, then expect you to fix it for free. In my world, that's the client who rewrites proven outreach copy every week, insists on approving every lead list manually, or refuses to follow the warm-up schedule we set and then wonder why deliverability drops. They derail the system we built for them, burn hours on back and forth, and pull focus from clients who actually respect our process. The mistake to avoid is keeping these clients just for the cash flow, hoping they'll eventually fall in line, because I can tell you they won't. What actually happens is they burn your team out, clog your delivery pipeline, and force you into firefighting mode instead of scaling mode. So here's the gut check. If a client consistently eats more hours than they've scoped, ignores the process you've built for them, or leaves you with a zero margin before the work is even done, they're not a client worth keeping. That's not a partnership, that's a liability. And the moment you drop them, you free up capacity for higher lifetime value clients who respect the system, pay on time, and grow with you. That time and headspace is worth far more than whatever short-term revenue you give up. And here's the twist. Firing clients is often the fastest way to grow, because the short-term dip in revenue is almost always outweighed by the long-term jump in profit, morale, and delivery speed. You stop running at the pace of your worst client and start building at the pace of your best. Once you start filtering your roster like this, the next step is making sure your cash flow can handle it. Because even with a client list full of winners, the wrong payment terms or a single late invoice can force you right back into desperation mode. And when you're making decisions from a cash crunch, it's only a matter of time before you take on work you shouldn't. Which brings us to the fifth hard lesson. Cash flow is the oxygen of your agency. Profit on paper means nothing if the money hits weeks after you need it. I've seen agencies land huge contracts and still struggle to make payroll because the cash didn't arrive on time. The fix isn't just make more, it's structuring your billing so money comes in before the work goes out, and keeping your exposure low no matter what type of project you're delivering. The mistake most agencies make is letting the client's payment terms dictate their stability. They send an invoice after the work is done, wait 30 days to get paid, and then act surprised when a single delay throws the whole month off. On paper, they're profitable. In reality, they're one late payment away from scrambling for a quick win to plug the hole. The rule I run my agency on is very simple. Get paid before you deliver. If it's a retainer, bill at the start of the month, not at the end. If it's a one-off build, split it into milestones where each phase is paid before you start the next. That way your exposure is always minimal, so if a client ghosts you or delays, you've already covered for the work that you've done. And this isn't just about protecting yourself from bad clients, it's about staying in control of your growth. Because when your revenue is front-loaded and predictable, you can hire without hesitation, invest in new tools, and say no to deals that don't fit, because you're not waiting for a wire transfer to decide your next move. The visual I always keep in mind is a gas tank. Every project, every retainer fills the tank in advance, so the agency can run at full speed without stopping to refuel mid-delivery. If you're constantly waiting for payments to land, you're driving the needle on empty and eventually you stall. But the real upside is psychological. When your cash position is strong, you negotiate from strength. You're not offering discounts to close deals faster. You're not agreeing to a terrible scope just to get the first payment. You're in the position to stick to your terms, choose your clients, and grow on your own timeline. And once you've got that stability, the whole game changes. You're no longer running the agency month to month. You're running it like a machine, so you can forecast, scale, and trust. And that's really what these 5 hard lessons give you. They're not just random tips, but the structure that keeps your growth under control. They're like interlocking gears. Take one out and the machine seizes up. Get them all working together and you can scale without losing profit, momentum, or your sanity. When you zoom out, this isn't just about running an agency. It's about building a business that doesn't collapse under its own weight. A business that grows because you designed it to, not because you're sprinting harder every month. And the design comes down to 5 hard lessons. Each one a safeguard against the hidden ways agencies break. Think of them as checkpoints. Pass each one and scaling gets easier, safer, and more profitable. Miss one and the whole thing starts to wobble. So here's the quick stress test. Skip any of these and you'll feel it in your profit, your pipeline, or your sanity within months. First, protect your margins early. Strong margins mean you can say no to bad deals and still grow on your terms. Second, maximize lifetime value. Every extra month a client stays is compound growth, and compound growth is stability. Third, scale only when your systems can handle it. More clients don't fix chaos, they multiply it. Fourth, fire the wrong clients fast. The ones who drain your energy cost more than they pay, no matter what the invoice says. And fifth, control cash flow like your business depends on it, because it actually does. Payment terms and reserves keep you in control, not your bank balance on paper. Put them all together and you've got a framework that makes growth safe, one that lets you scale without breaking, keep your best clients for years, and avoid the trap of building a busy but brittle business. But here's the thing, you can't pass any of these checkpoints if you're struggling to get the right clients through the door in the first place. Without consistent, high-quality deal flow, all the systems in the world won't save you. And that's exactly what we work on inside my school community, setting up AI-powered outreach systems that bring in the kind of clients who give you the margin, the stability, and the freedom to grow on your terms. So whether you're starting from zero or trying to break past your current plateau, I'll walk you through the exact workflows, automations, and strategies I use to fill my calendars with qualified calls. If you're ready to land your first or your next high-paying client and set the foundation for everything in this video, I'll leave the link below and I'll see you guys inside.